talk about the beautiful business of milk today, yeah. I got milk. Let's talk about milk. Oh yeah, baby, let's talk about the beautiful business of milk today.
This episode of Got Milk is sponsored by Shunya Agritech, the folks revolutionizing cattle nutrition with hydroponic green fodder. Visit their website at shunya.live for more details or download the Shunya app from Play Store or App Store.
All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling a topic that I know you're really curious about. Women in Indian dairy farming.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more than just milking cows, that's for sure.
Right.
You've sent over some really interesting research on this topic, and I've got our expert here to help us kind of unpack all the nuances.
It's a really fascinating area to get into, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we're going to be uncovering how these women are impacting the economy, how they're dealing with all those societal expectations and some of the challenges that they face along the way.
So to kind of set the stage here, let's talk about the dairy industry in India.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they love milk, but the stats are kind of mind-boggling, aren't they?
Yeah. India is a real powerhouse when it comes to dairy. I mean, they're the world's largest producer.
Wow.
And consumer of milk. And get this, the dairy sector contributes 9% to their total agricultural output.
9%. That's massive. So this isn't just like some little thing. This is a major cornerstone of their economy.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the money either.
Right.
The research that you sent over said that something like 70% of rural Indians are involved in milk production in some way.
Yeah, about 70%. And that's why it's so important that we really understand the role that women play.
Okay.
It's not just a job, it's part of their lives,
Right.
their families, their communities.
Now, one of the things that I saw in the research was this idea that something like 70% of village cattle are owned by women.
Mm-hmm.
Is that accurate, or is it a little more complicated?
You know, it's definitely rooted in tradition,
Okay.
but things are definitely changing.
Okay.
Historically, women have always been the ones who are managing the animals, especially when it comes to milking the cows.
Right.
It's a really deep part of rural life.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah,
But things are evolving,
they are.
and I'm guessing that a big part of that was something called Operation Flood, which happened back in the 1970s. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was?
Yeah, so Operation Flood was this massive initiative that was really aimed at boosting India's milk production.
Okay.
And it really promoted small-scale dairying, which was often run by women, right, in their own homes.
Okay.
And it was interesting because it took that traditional role and kind of blended it with a more entrepreneurial spirit.
And it worked.
It was really successful.
Wow.
After Operation Flood, the number of well-built homes owned by milk producers just skyrocketed.
Wow.
It shows that it wasn't just about the milk. It was
Wow.
about uplifting entire families and communities.
So we're already starting to see the economic impact and the societal impacts all kind of intertwining.
Exactly.
But the research also talks a lot about the challenges that these women face. Lack of resources, cultural barriers, limited training. It seems like a really tough road.
It can be, yeah.
So let's start with the resources and technology.
Okay.
Access seems to be a really big issue here.
It-
For example, a lot of these women struggle with land ownership, and you kind of need that to adopt some of these more modern and efficient techniques.
You're right. Absolutely. You need that space. You
Wow.
need that foundation to build on.
So it's not just about the hard work. It's about having the tools and the space to really make it all happen.
Exactly.
And I'm guessing that without that land ownership, it makes it really difficult to get loans and other kinds of financial support as well.
It does.
So it's kind of, you need the land to get the money, but you need the money to get the land.
It's that catch-22.
Yeah.
And then on top of that,
Yeah.
you have training and information.
Okay.
A lot of these women are experts in the traditional practices,
Right.
but they might not know about things like balanced cattle rations or how to really market their milk effectively.
So their traditional knowledge is incredibly valuable, but it's not enough to kind of compete in this modern market.
Right. They need those new skills
I
and
think-
strategies to keep up.
And then on top of all of that, there are these cultural barriers,
Yeah,
which are maybe even tougher to deal with.
they are.
We're talking about like
Yeah.
deeply ingrained gender roles that really affect how women are perceived
Right.
and what kinds of opportunities they have access to.
Exactly.
So give me some examples of what kinds of cultural barriers we're talking about here.
Well, I mean, sometimes just basic things.
Uh-huh.
Social norms might make it really difficult for women to even attend training sessions
Oh, wow.
or to interact with male officials. They might
Right.
not even be seen as like technical experts in
Yeah.
a field that's traditionally associated with, animals and physical strength.
So even if the training IS there, these societal expectations can really create all these invisible walls.
Yeah, for sure.
And then on top of all of that,
Yeah.
I imagine balancing the dairy work with all of the household responsibilities
Yeah.
is another major hurdle that they have to deal with.
It is. It's this constant balancing act. I mean, you've got childcare, cooking, all these other domestic duties on top of the dairy work.
Right.
And it really limits the amount of time and energy they can
man.
dedicate to growing their businesses.
It sounds exhausting, frankly.
It can be.
And the research really kept coming back to this issue of training.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly like a massive need, but it's not always available.
Right.
It's really frustrating.
It is. And, there was one study that found that women really wanted more training on things like housing their livestock and feeding their livestock.
Okay.
But it just wasn't easy to access.
Right.
And, this all ties back to income because
Yeah.
without those skills, they're
Right.
limited in how much they can earn and how
Yeah.
much they can expand their businesses.
So it's like this frustrating cycle.
Is
They need the training to earn more, but the training isn't always there
exact.
to help them kind of break through.
But, despite all these obstacles, there is a growing movement
Okay.
to empower women in dairy farming.
Okay.
It's really inspiring to see all these initiatives taking shape.
Tell me about some of those. What are some of the things that people are doing
Okay.
to try to help these women kind of overcome some of these hurdles?
So on the financial side of things,
Yeah, okay.
there are programs like the Rashtriya Mahila Kosh,
Okay.
which provides microcredits specifically for women.
Okay.
And there's also the Swaranjanti Gram Swarajgar Yoshaya,
Okay.
which offers subsidies
Oh.
and helps women form self-help groups
Okay.
so they can pool their resources.
That's great, but is it effective? I mean, obviously money is important,
Right.
but is it enough?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And while those programs are a good starting point, they often lack that crucial infrastructure support
Right.
that women really need to thrive.
So it's almost like giving someone a car, but there are no roads to drive on.
Right. Exactly.
It's a good start, but they need that whole ecosystem to
Yeah.
support them.
And that's where capacity building comes in.
Right.
We need training programs
Okay.
that are specifically designed to meet the needs of these women.
What kind of training are we talking about?
I think it needs to go beyond just the basics of animal care.
Okay.
These women need financial literacy,
Okay.
business management skills,
Right.
and knowledge of modern technology and techniques.
Mhm.
They also need training on leadership
Okay.
and advocacy
Okay.
so they can fight for their rights and really voice their needs.
So it's about giving them the tools, not just to participate, but to really lead,
Exactly.
to advocate for themselves, to shape the future of this industry.
That's the goal.
That's really empowering.
It is. And to help with that,
Yeah.
awareness campaigns are also playing a really important role.
Okay.
So, for example, the National Dairy Research Institute
Mm-hmm.
held a women's parade
Oh, wow.
to showcase their contributions and celebrate everything that they've achieved.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not just about fixing problems. It's about celebrating successes
Yeah.
and really trying to shift perceptions.
Exactly.
And I'm already really impressed by these stories.
Yeah.
But before we go too much further, I want to kind of zoom out for a second and ask,
Okay.
why should we care?
Sure.
Why should someone who's listening to this, who maybe doesn't even drink milk, why should they care about women in Indian dairy farming?
It goes so much deeper than just milk.
Okay.
Their involvement has all these ripple effects
Okay.
that impact families, communities, and the entire Indian economy.
Okay, so give me some specifics.
Right.
How does this translate into real-world change?
Well, for one thing, the income that women generate from dairy often leads to better nutrition for their whole family.
That makes sense.
It's not just about having enough food to eat. It's
Mhm.
about having access to more nutritious foods, which benefits everyone, especially the children.
More money, more choices at the market.
Exactly.
There we go.
Dairy income can also help pay for children's education.
Okay.
which is a huge step in breaking the cycle of poverty.
Right, of course.
And this economic independence often gives women more decision-making power within their families.
So it's shifting the dynamic
It is.
and leading to more equitable relationships.
Exactly.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, and I thought this was really interesting.
Yeah.
One of the sources pointed out that income from dairy is often reinvested right back into the family,
Wow.
whereas income from other sources, sometimes that might be prioritized for things like jewelry.
Interesting.
So it shows their commitment to their family's well-being.
It really does.
It's not about personal gain. It's about lifting everyone up together.
No, it's not just about the family either.
No,
There are these bigger social changes happening as well.
absolutely.
One of the studies found that women who were involved in dairy cooperatives
Yes.
reported feeling more self-confident,
Right.
and they said that there was less pressure on the male members of their family.
It's really interesting, isn't it?
It is.
It's about recognizing and valuing women's work.
Right.
And making sure they have the opportunities to
Uh-huh.
really reach their full potential.
Okay, so we've talked about challenges, we've talked about some of the initiatives, and we've talked about some of the impacts.
Mm-hmm.
What about government policies?
Yeah.
What role is the government playing in all of this?
Well, there's a growing recognition that supporting these women is crucial for the industry as a whole.
Okay.
And we're seeing that reflected in government programs
Okay.
at both the national and state levels.
So tell us about some of those programs. What are they doing to help?
So one of the biggest ones is the National Dairy Development Program,
Okay.
which started back in 1970.
Okay.
And that focused on organizing farmers, especially women,
Okay.
into cooperatives,
Okay.
which gave them a collective voice
Mm.
and made it easier to access training and resources.
It's the power of coming together.
It is.
It makes so much sense. And did it work?
Yeah, it was hugely successful. The program played a big role in making dairying a viable livelihood for literally millions of Indian families.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Are there state-specific initiatives as well?
There are, yeah.
Okay.
Different states have their own programs that address the unique challenges they face.
Okay.
So, for example, the state of Haryana
Okay.
has schemes specifically to help destitute or widowed women
Okay.
get involved in dairy farming.
So they're recognizing the extra hurdles that these women have to overcome,
They are.
and they're trying to provide that targeted support.
Yeah, it's about leveling the playing field and
And-
creating opportunities for everyone to succeed.
It's amazing how much we've covered already.
It is.
But I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Right.
So what's the path forward?
Yeah.
What else needs to happen to
Hmm.
really empower these women?
Well, I think a big part of it is breaking down those gender stereotypes.
Right.
That's key for long-term change.
So it's not just about policies and programs.
Yeah.
It's about shifting those mindsets.
Exactly. And that's something that connects to everyone, even outside of India.
Right.
I mean, gender inequality is a global issue.
Right.
We all have a role to play in challenging it.
It's a reminder that we're all part of this.
We are.
We all have a responsibility.
Yeah. And investing in skills development is another really crucial step.
Okay.
Training needs to go beyond just the basics.
Right.
It needs to equip these women with the knowledge and the skills to be successful entrepreneurs. Things like financial literacy,
Okay.
business management, and access to those modern technologies and techniques.
So it's about empowering them, not just to work in the industry,
Right.
but to lead it,
Exactly.
to innovate, to shape the future.
I think so, yeah.
And then lastly, it seems like collaboration is key here.
It is.
You've got the government,
Yeah.
you've got NGOs, you've got the private sector.
Right.
They all need to work together
They do.
to create a system where these women can really thrive. So it's a united front to break down barriers and unlock their full potential.
That's the goal.
It's a really inspiring vision.
It is.
And I'm curious to know what our listeners think.
Yeah.
What stands out to you so far?
You know, as we're talking about all of this, it really makes me think about the role that technology could play in all of this.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit,
Right.
but I'd love to go a little deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, what kind of potential do you see there?
Well, just imagine this for a second.
Okay.
Women in these rural communities,
Mm-hmm.
armed with a mobile app
Okay.
that gives them real-time market information
Okay.
so they can negotiate better prices for their milk.
Right.
They can cut out those middlemen
Right.
who often take such a big cut of the profit.
That's huge. That
Yeah.
changes everything.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have to rely on word of mouth or outdated information.
Exactly.
They would have the power to make really informed decisions about their business.
And think about online training platforms.
Oh, yeah.
So valuable for women who can't always travel to those in-person workshops.
Right, because of those geographic limitations or maybe the cultural barriers.
Exactly.
They could learn at their own pace in their own homes.
Yeah,
That opens up so many possibilities.
it really does.
What about things like digital financial tools?
Yeah, that's another big one.
Do you think that could make a difference?
Absolutely. Things like easier access to loans,
Okay.
mobile banking,
Hmm.
even crowdfunding platforms.
Wow.
I mean, these could really revolutionize how they manage their money and how they invest in their businesses.
It's about giving them the same tools and the same opportunities that people in urban areas have.
Exactly. It's about leveling the playing field.
Yeah.
Using technology to create a more inclusive industry.
Where everyone has a chance to succeed.
Exactly.
I'm getting really hopeful just thinking about this.
It's exciting.
It's like all these new doors are opening.
And there's one more technology I think we should mention.
Nope.
Social media.
Oh, interesting.
It could be such a powerful tool for these women to connect with each other.
Right.
Share their stories, build a community.
Like a virtual support network
Exactly.
where they can share advice, offer support, and lift each other up.
And they could even use it to market their products.
Right.
Reach new customers directly.
Cut out the middleman again.
Exactly.
Take control of their sales.
It's about amplifying their voices.
Yeah.
Connecting them to a wider audience.
Yeah, I'm convinced.
Yeah,
Technology is a huge part of the solution here.
I think so.
Now, I wanted to go back to something that we talked about earlier.
Okay.
This idea of women as agents of social change.
Mm-hmm. Such a powerful concept.
And we're already seeing it happening
Right.
and the impact they're having on their families and their communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about how dairy income leads to better nutrition, helps pay for education.
Right.
Those are huge steps towards breaking the cycle of poverty.
They are. And when women have that financial independence,
Mm.
it often shifts the power dynamics within the family.
It leads to those more equitable relationships,
Exactly.
creates a more balanced family life,
Yeah, it challenges those traditional structures.
and empowers women to have a voice
Yes.
in those family decisions.
Absolutely.
And those changes, they don't stop at the family level.
Right.
They ripple outwards.
Into the community.
Think about those dairy cooperatives.
Yeah.
They provide leadership opportunities,
Right.
a platform for women to advocate for themselves.
For their communities, too.
It's about building that confidence,
Yeah.
encouraging them to participate in those decision-making processes.
And the research is clear.
Yeah.
When women are empowered,
Mm.
communities benefit.
It's like this domino effect.
It is.
One success leads to another,
Absolutely.
lifts everyone up.
It's a testament to the power of investing in women.
And it really drives home that point,
Uh-huh.
that gender equality,
Yeah.
it's not just a women's issue.
No.
It affects all of us.
It does when women thrive.
Everyone thrives.
Okay, let's zoom out even further now.
Okay.
Let's talk about the impact on the Indian economy as a whole.
Yeah.
Now, we already know that dairy is a big contributor to their agricultural output.
Right.
But what happens when women are empowered in this sector?
Well, it makes a big difference.
Okay.
Dairy provides a lot of jobs, especially in rural areas.
Right.
When women are empowered to participate fully,
Mm-hmm.
it leads to greater productivity,
Okay.
strengthens the whole sector.
So more skilled workers,
Wow.
more entrepreneurs, more innovation.
Exactly.
It all adds up.
It does. And when the dairy sector thrives,
Yeah.
it helps other industries too.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, think about the industries that support dairy farming.
Yep.
Transportation,
Yeah.
packaging,
Mm.
retail.
Right.
They all benefit.
So it's this chain reaction.
It is.
A strong dairy industry helps everyone.
Yeah. And of course, increased income from dairy farming means more tax revenue.
Which can then be invested in things like healthcare and education.
It's like this amazing cycle.
It is.
Investing in women in dairy farming
Mm-hmm.
ultimately benefits everyone.
It's a powerful example of how gender equality isn't just a social issue.
Right.
It's an economic one, too.
Empowering women is good for business.
Exactly.
I think we've made it pretty clear.
I think so.
This is about so much more than just milk.
It is. It's complex.
Yeah.
But one thing is for sure,
What's that?
women are vital to the success of India's dairy industry.
And their empowerment is key.
Absolutely.
Not just for them,
Right.
but for their families,
Yeah.
their communities, the entire nation.
It's a story of resilience and determination
Yeah.
and the power of opportunity.
And it's a story that's still being written.
It is.
So much potential still waiting to be unlocked.
It makes you realize
Yeah.
that even when things are tough,
Mm-hmm.
progress is possible.
Yeah.
We can make a difference.
And investing in women is one of the smartest investments we can make.
I completely agree.
It pays dividends for generations.
It does.
Now, as we kind of wrap up this part of the conversation,
Yeah.
it makes me think,
Yeah.
what can we do?
That's the big question.
What can we do to support these efforts?
What solutions can we come up with to overcome these obstacles?
And unlock that potential.
I'm really curious to hear what our listeners think.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
What's resonated with you the most? It's amazing, right? All these different threads we've been pulling on.
I know. The challenges, the successes, all those ripple effects, it really gets you thinking about how we can contribute.
Right. And I bet our listeners are bursting with great ideas.
Oh, for sure. So, to all of you out there, what are your thoughts? How can we support these women, not just in India, but around the world? What comes to mind?
I can't wait to hear their ideas.
Me too. It's a global conversation.
It really is.
Everyone's voice matters.
You know, for me, this deep dive has been a total eye-opener.
I honestly had no idea how much women's roles were tied to the whole success of India's dairy industry.
It shows you how connected everything is.
Exactly. We started with animal husbandry, then it's economic empowerment, and then societal shifts. And throw in some tech. It's this whole web of possibilities.
It's fascinating.
It really is. And to hear about these women, their strength, the impact they're making, not just for themselves, but their families, their whole nation.
It's inspiring, right?
Totally. It makes you realize change can happen on so many levels.
It does. Like you said, individual empowerment leads to stronger families, which then can change communities.
It's that ripple effect again.
Exactly. And it reminds us this isn't over. There's always more to do, more to learn, more people to bring into the conversation.
And something that really struck me is how this all started with what might have seemed like a niche topic,
Right.
but it touches on huge global things.
Oh, absolutely. Gender equality, how economies grow, sustainable farming.
And it just goes to show knowledge, highest power.
Couldn't agree more.
The more we understand these connections, the better we can make a real difference.
Well said.
So thank you, Mashun, for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of women in Indian dairy farming. Keep those questions coming, keep learning, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
I got mail.